Hello, this is Bob at Askaroofer.com. Today I had a question from Jason. He had a roof just recently done. It sounds like just days ago. And when he was walking around his roof, he looked at his edge here and he saw that his plywood was up and he could see some nails, and he questioned whether that was correct or not. Not getting a good response from his contractor, he shot me an email, found me on the website, and asked me a question. I asked him to send me these photos, and so I'm going to do a little video using his pictures on my desktop. Make it a little easier for him to understand. I could go out and up on a roof and do kind of a report there, but having his pictures and using them is going to be a little bit more helpful, I think, because I can point out things using the cursor and stuff. Basically, his question was, is this right or wrong? And there's no easy way to say it. It's wrong. You never, ever, ever leave bare cut plywood on the rake here. This is called a gable-in, bar drafter, shingle molding, rake. All of these are common names for this area here. But the excuse that the roofer gave was that, oh, there was 3/8 plywood down there, and somebody came back and put some other 3/8 20 years ago to reinforce it, and it had some dry rot on it, and we didn't want to take the bottom sheet out, so we put the bottom line is that there's no candy coating. This is incorrect. If you have a problem, if a contractor has a problem, he should come to you, Jason, and say, hey, look, I got this issue over here that I didn't see until we got the roof up. This is what I suggest. It's going to take me 1 or 2 or 3 hours, and it's going to take me 25, 30, 40, 100, to whatever dollars to repair it. What would you like me to do? Instead of just burying something and hope you never see it, and thus resulting in a little conflict that you have here. I might add that you don't need to get mad. Stay calm. Work with your contractor. By staying calm, you will, in fact, get what you want. And once you become a little educated as to the problems and what the results may be, you can talk to him a little more educatedly and ask him. Bottom line is, would you do this on your house? He can't say yes because this is horrible. Having said that, let's talk about why it's horrible. Cutting this board and leaving it is very typical, but nailing it down is what you need to do. The schedule on plywood in my area is 6 inches on all perimeter edges, 12 inches in the field on rafters. I'm not sure where you are. Your jurisdiction may be different. Maybe you didn't get an inspection. Surely, if there was a permit pulled on this, an inspector came out, he would have called you on this. So I'm guessing that there was no permit pulled. Maybe you don't need to. I don't know. Every state is different. Whether it's a licensed contractor doing this, I don't know. Every state is different. Where I'm from, you got to be licensed, but that doesn't stop people from having unlicensed people do the roofs. So, if that's what you did and that's what you hired, this is what you get. I'd hate to be blunt, but let's see what we can do to correct it. Typically, the nails here look like they're ran about every 8 inches because the exposure on the shingles here is 5.5 inches, 5 5/8. So you can see this one's way down here and one up here at the butt. So I'm guessing 8 inches. That's not, one more nail is not going to help this area here. There's a reason why this is up. It needs to be discovered why. Then this needs to be nailed down tightly. I don't know if this is metal in here, wood. I can't tell from from your picture that you provided. It looks like there's some metal bent up here. It's really, really hard. So I'm going to try to answer this to the best of my abilities with what pictures that I have. Typically, when you would do a roof, if it's nailed down properly, I took the liberty of filling in kind of what the drip edge would do here. These lines show that what the drip edge would cover and down onto this shingle molding or fascia or bar draft or whatever you want to call it. The circles are the nails. We already talked about that. But you can get this drip edge metal in raw, galvanized. You can get it in browns and charcoals and whites, and you can get it in 2x2 1.5 by 1.5, 1 by 2, 2 by, I can go on and on and on. Or you can custom make it. You have to put something in here. National Roofing Contractors Association Technical Journals. It's easy. You can find them and look them up. It says, put down the underlayment. My crews always took the felt, laid it over the top of this, tacked it down into here. Always cut it later. Put down the metal, the 2 by 2 or 1.5 by 1.5 by 10 foot. Nail it into the deck up here. And it's tied up against whichever board you have here. And then you do all that prior to the shingles being installed. Any felt or anything that may be hanging out here, you take your utility knife and cut it all off. Man, that's a watertight rake. If you don't have a watertight rake, this is what you're going to end up with. Water works its way in. It can infiltrate, getting way back up in here. Man, I did this roof, it had to have been 20 years ago. I took this picture and I've got miles and miles of use on this picture because it's a great photograph of what mold and mildew and dry rot does on a rake or a gable end. And it's typical to what you have on your house here. If you don't do that, water's going to, if you don't fix this, water's going to go in here, it's going to go in here, it's going to go in here, it's just going to give you all kinds of grief. And it won't take but a couple of winters to do it. So, I hope this answered your question. I can't think of anything else to say, but appreciate you being on the website. You know what? I think I'm going to try something a little bit different here to help you maybe understand. I am working in my office today, like I said, so I thought I'd get my trusty model out here, and maybe we can get a little bit better example of what I'm doing here. Here is a model provided by GAF. Used it a couple times, but it's typically just a composition type asphalt deck with plywood on it, and this kind of gives you an idea of what the deck would look like. And typically GAF would like to see you have along the edges here an ice and water shield or some type of protection, a bleeder going up here with the same, also in the valleys. And to get some of their extended warranties, they ask us to go to a couple of other installations that we're not going to really talk about today. But once you've done this, then depending on whatever underlayment that you're going to use, we're going to use as an example the GAF deck armor. And this gives you an example of what this rake would look like. I took in, bent a business card, Askaroofer.com, and kind of give you an idea of what it would look like. Typically the fascia down in here, along this edge here, across the front, this drip edge would go up underneath the felt. But on the rake, what we're talking about today, it's going to go on top of the felt, setting that right in there after the 30-pound felt or the synthetic underlayment that you put down, and it would run all the way down to the beginning of the roof, and that protects. If water goes that way, it's onto the deck and it works its way down. The shingles covered this, and drip edge comes down and on the bar drafter right here and down off the roof, not having that exposed like the picture that you sent me. Once that's installed around the perimeters, ba-bam, within a few seconds you have about 20 squares of shingles installed. Well, that's a pretty quick roofer, huh? Fastest roofer in town. Anyway, this is kind of what you end up with. You can see that the shingles cover the drip edge on the top. moisture is running down here. Most of it's going to get in here, but if you have driving rain coming in this way, and if it forces it that way, it's onto the drip edge, onto the underlayment, and down and out. And any water rolling over the edge here, it's onto this drip edge here, onto the barge rafter or gable, or some guys call this a fascia. I call this a fascia. Anyway, that kind of gives you an idea of what we're talking about. Those drip edge metals come in 10 foot, typically 10 foot lengths, and whatever configuration you can want, you can actually make them. So I hope that the question was answered and you were able to was able to be informative. The website is made so that you can ask a question and get an answer as you did. And anybody using the website, if you go up here, up into the top corner of the website, there's a little hooty cockle up here. You click on that and then you can type in a question, and those answers will be promptly answered. And the questions are all kinds of questions that I get from people. It's actually kind of fun hearing the different stories that everybody runs into, and the different applications. It's really enjoyable working at this website. Anyway, just hope that you were able to understand my interpretation of what I think you should do. And again, appreciate you hitting Askaroofer.com. Have a fine day.